Hi everyone, Christina Danforth here from HR Jetpack, and I wanted to take a moment to highlight two overlooked yet extremely important features of the online SHRM learning system. When students begin the program, they have a tendency to overlook them. First and foremost is the initial assessment. So you see that highlighted here. In fact, this page that I'm sharing with you is a summary of those results. Now, when a student begins the course, it's really important for them to get an understanding of their current knowledge base. What are their strengths and their weaknesses in relation to the content? And that includes each of the competency clusters as shown here and the knowledge domains. So the results of the initial assessment, it includes 160 multiple choice questions, which is meant to emulate the actual exam. Those results are fed into each of these areas that you see highlighted on the screen to give you your proficiency level. So this is a great base for you to start from when you begin the course to really understand where do you need to spend more of your time in relation to studying, focusing on the content, and taking additional multiple choice questions. Now, I often get the question myself, how do I go back and review the questions in the initial assessment? Now, it isn't super clear. Down here at the bottom of the screen is a button, Review Last Attempt. If you select this button, SHRM provides you with an audit that includes a review of each of the questions within the assessment. So you can go over the answers, understand the rationale, and go through each of those questions by simply clicking Next Question. So you're going to notice right here in the upper right hand part of the screen, I'm on question number 1 of 160 questions. Now if you go down here, so if you click the review button, you'll be brought to a summary of all the questions that were incorrect and those that might not have been completed as well. And you'll see a highlight of their status. So you can actually go in, click one of those questions, and then take the time to review it, the correct answer, along with the rationale behind it. And then we can actually go back to the review and let's select another question. Question number 5. Once again, notice that you see the rationale for the answer along with the correct answer, and of course what you selected during the initial assessment while you were taking it. And when you want to end the review, simply go back and click End Review. Now here's the cool part, you can also retake the initial assessment by clicking the Begin button. Once again, gives you an opportunity to go through this assessment, get that practice that you need in order to really get a feel for taking the actual exam. Now, I encourage students not to retake the initial assessment right away. It's okay. You're at the beginning of the program, you've got your proficiency levels, you use this as a guide to start preparing for the exam. So don't take the initial assessment again right away. The second most important feature students often overlook is the ability to access both sides of the system. What do I mean by that? In the upper right-hand corner, you go to the menu. You're going to notice that every student has access to both the SHRM CP side of the system and the SHRM SCP side of the system. Regardless of which certification you are studying for, I highly recommend that you access both sides of the system. You might be wondering, why would you access the SHRM CP and SHRM SCP if you're only concentrating on obtaining one certification? And the primary reason is because it gives you the opportunity to take more multiple choice questions. You are doubling the number of questions you have access to, which allows you to practice more and get you better prepared for taking the actual exam. Now you'll notice that once you select one side or the other, it'll tell you that you have selected that particular side. And once you X out and close the menu, in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, you will notice that it tells you which side of the system you are currently using. Now, if you want to go back to the other side, you simply select it, and you notice that SHRM CP is now selected, and then you X out of this menu, and you'll notice now I am on the other side of the system, the SHRM CP. So in summary, there are two important features often overlooked in the portal. First and foremost is the initial assessment. Taking this helps you understand your proficiency levels in relation to the content. I recommend that you take the assessment as soon as possible when you begin the course. And secondly, double the number of practice questions by toggling between the SHRM CP and SHRM SCP sides of the system. And you can easily tell where you are by looking at the lower right-hand corner of your screen. There's no doubt that earning your SHRM certification is tough, but trust me, it's so worth it, and I know you can make it happen.